A long time ago, there lived a famous blacksmith who owned a store where he sold his handmade items. One day, he got lucky enough to sell his equipment to the Cairo kingdom. Amidst an endless war, it was an incredible chance for him to raise his status. After the war, that blacksmith was awarded the position of a baron, and he became the lord of a land. That man's eldest son was listening to this story. A few hours ago, he got to know that he is the eldest son of the Dmitri family. Actually, he was a heavenly demon in his previous life, and after fulfilling everything in life, he accepted his death. But for some reason, he woke up in Roman Dmitri's body, who was known as a moron. His servant Hans informed him, today is the day that his fiancée, the Lady of the Lawrence, visits. Suddenly, they noticed that some people were beating someone. Hans noticed a tattoo on one of the men, and told Roman that they are from the Blood Fang. They are an usury group that acts not only in the Dmitri territory, but also in nearby territories. Hans noticed that Roman is not with him any longer. Roman went close to the group and asked them to stop beating the boy. The gang recognized Roman and asked him to leave as it is not his business. Roman asked Hans about the laws of this place as he don't know about them. Roman asked who broke the law and what punishment is befitting for them. Hans explained that since the boy was in debt and was unable to repay them in time, so he is in the wrong, but Blood Fang doesn't have the right to take care of that themselves. And what's more important is that they disrespected the eldest son of the Dmitri family. That is a crime that worth one's life. Roman then announced that he, the eldest son of Lord Romero Dmitri, is going to bestow punishment upon them. The leader of the group then insults Roman and prepared to attack. Roman dashed toward the man and killed him with a single strike. The other members of the group were attacking him, but Roman was easily dodging the attacks and was killing them. Hans couldn't believe that the man in front of him is his master Roman. While fighting the group, Roman was thinking of the things he saw when he opened his eyes as Roman. He saw a will written by Roman and multiple drugs on the floor. Roman was chosen to go to the army to represent his family, so he killed himself out of fear. But the current owner of this body is the leader of the heavenly demon cult, Baek Jung-hyuk. So he decided that as long as he have this body, he's going to live like Baek. Baek Jung-hyuk, he climbed to the pinnacle with overwhelming power and massacred thousands of martial artists who defied him. And when their blood formed a river, the world acknowledged that the heavenly demon cult ruled the world of Murin. But now he had to go back and forth multiple times just to take care of some street rats. He concluded that this body is useless, and even the Kai flow is horrible. The boy from earlier then thanked Roman for saving him. Roman replied that he punished them for breaking the law, and he is not an exception either. The boy told Roman that his parents borrowed money from the Blood Fang to buy land for farming, and they was about to repay them. But the Blood Fang destroyed their core so they can take his younger sister as payment. The boy Kevin then begged Roman to save his sister as his family didn't have money to pay them. Roman looked at the boy and thought that he is looking at the mad demon who was one of the 4 heavenly kings. Roman then told Kevin that he will take care of this matter and left. Meanwhile, Lady Flora of the Lawrence family was on her way to meet Roman. Her father arranged this marriage for her as their territory is not in good state, and in order to overcome this, they need the help of the Dmitri family. She was not happy to know that she is going to marry in a family of minors. At first, she was supposed to marry the second son of the family, who has a bright future, but Roman demanded to marry her instead. She was not okay to marry Roman, as he's called the moron of the Dmitri, who lives only for luxury and enjoyment. She told her feelings to Roman that she doesn't want this political marriage, and to her surprise, Roman quickly accepted. Roman said that he's going to take responsibility for breaking the engagement and left. He went to his father and tell him that he don't want to marry Lady Flora. His father Romero got angry and threw a glass at him. He was already angry as he got to know that Roman made trouble with the Blood Fang. He told Roman that he need to take care of this problem himself, thinking that Roman will cry for mercy. But to Romero's surprise, Roman quickly accepted this and left. Later at night, Romero told all that happened to his wife Rihanna. Rihanna said that Roman probably said he would take care of Blood Fang himself in the heat of the moment, but they can't leave him like this. So Romero decides to talk to the night captain Jonathan. The next day, Roman was walking freely with Hans. Hans suggested to head back, as they don't know when the Blood Fang will come back to take their revenge. But Roman denied and went to a restaurant. They ordered food, and Roman asked Hans to enjoy the food while he continued his investigation. Hans refused and said that he also wanted to help Roman, but Roman ordered him to not follow him and left. After Roman left, Hans quickly ran to bring some help. Roman was walking on the streets, thinking, now that he roamed around the streets with Hans, the Blood Fang will soon attack him. And as he went in a back alley, the members of the Blood Fang attacked him. On the other side, Hans meets with the Captain Jonathan, and explained the situation to him. One of the members attacked Roman, but he killed the guy easily. The other two members attacked Roman, but he easily killed one of them. Roman then went close to the third member and stabbed him to interrogate. The guy told him that there is a pub called Dew of Dawn, and they receive missions from there. The guy also told him the secret code, which he used to get missions from them. After a while, Roman went inside the pub and said the secret code. All the members then dashed toward Roman to kill him. Roman easily defeated the gang members and went close to the remaining member and tortured him for the leader's location. After a while, Captain Jonathan came to the pub and was surprised to see its condition. One of the knight informed him that a survivor told him that the young master went to Lawrence. This shocked Jonathan, as the Blood Fang's headquarters is in Lawrence. Meanwhile, in the Lawrence, the leader of the Blood Fang was furious to know that the Roman Dmitri defeated their entire branch. One of the members then informed the leader that Roman is coming to Lawrence to attack the headquarters. The leader then ordered the man to gather all of their forces. All the members were ready to kill Roman as soon as he enters the building. But in front of the leader's eyes, Roman killed all of the gang members easily. Meanwhile, in the castle, Flora's father was in a meeting. Suddenly, a guard came running and informed them that Roman Dmitri appeared at the Lawrence Plaza while dragging a man. And after stating that the man is the leader of the Blood Fangs, he executed him in front of the people. Flora's father was shocked to know that Roman Dmitri executed the leader of the Blood Fang. The other members gave their opinions that Roman murdered someone without the Lord's permission, so they need to punish him. The Lord then ordered to bring Roman Dmitri to him, as he wants to hear about this directly from him. After a while, Roman and Jonathan came to meet the Lord. Everyone thinks that Roman defeated the Blood Fang with the help of the Captain Jonathan. Roman then greets Viscount Lawrence. Meanwhile, the guard told Lady Flora everything that happened. The Lord then asked him to tell the whole story, and why did he did something inhumane. Roman then told them everything, that the Blood Fang was assaulting an innocent citizen of Dmitri, so he executed them on the spot. And he decided that he couldn't let them be, so he attacked their headquarters and killed their leader. Unaware that the marriage is cancelled, the Lord promised to reward Roman later and said that he can leave. After Roman left, the Lord was happy that Roman is going to be Flora's husband. He then ordered a servant to bring Flora immediately. Flora came and informed her father that she has already announced her disengagement. Her father told her that the Barco family is going to attack them in some time, and only the marriage between the Florence and Dmitri could stop that. And the forces who lent their power to the Barco family will create a battle that Lawrence can't win. Since now they have a cause to advocate, they will use this opportunity to take everything from them. Baek Jung-hyuk's story then got revealed. He was the son of the heavenly demon, and his father throws him in an underground cave. His father told him that if he died, then he just need to make more children. But if he really is his son, then he must prove himself. Inside that cave, he was beaten by the other demon children for being weak. But to survive in that hell, Baek became strong and killed the leader of the demon children. Later at night, Jonathan told Romero about Roman's achievements. Romero was so happy to know that Roman is changed and defeated the Blood Fang alone. He summoned Roman and hear the whole explanation for him. He asked Roman that how did he manage to defeat the Blood Fang alone. Roman replied that he was secretly training in swordsmanship. He wanted to prove that the moron of Dmitri could accomplish something on his own. Romero then asked a favor from Roman, that he wanted to see his swordsmanship with his own eyes, as he's dying to see just how much his son has changed. The next day, they went to check Roman's sword skills, but no one wants to fight him. They know that they wouldn't gain anything by winning, and if they were to lose, they may be kicked out. Jonathan thought that he should send an expert who can completely subdue Roman in order to keep the prestige of the Knights. He then chose Chris, the vice captain of the Dmitri Knights. Chris got shocked, as he didn't want to fight Roman. The first time he met Roman was last year, when he received a report of a drunkard causing a disturbance while he was patrolling the territory. The drunkard was none other than the Roman Dmitri. He went close to Roman and tried to stop him. but Roman slapped him and said that a lowly knight can't touch him. Chris knew from the moment he got slapped that Roman has never trained his entire life. He is a pathetic man who has the average strength of an adult man. But with no other choice left, he accepted to duel Roman. Chris tried to scare Roman by saying that no matter who his opponent is, he doesn't plan on showing them any mercy. And to his challenge, Roman just laughed. As soon as the battle begins, Chris dashed toward Roman and attacked him, but is easily blocked by Roman. Chris was continuously attacking Roman, but he was easily dodging the attacks. He clicked his teeth as Roman's defense and attack isn't lacking in any way. Roman then dashed toward Chris and started attacking him. In front of Roman's overwhelming attacks, Chris was barely holding himself. Roman then gave him an opening, and as Chris tried to attack him, Roman laughed and dodged easily. Not wanting to lose to a moron, Chris used his aura attack on Roman. Everyone, including Romero and Jonathan, was surprised to see that Roman dodged the aura attack and defeated Chris. Jonathan knows that these aren't the skills of someone who only had trained a year or two. His skills seem to be rooted with years of training. He then told Romero to not be surprised, but his son Roman is a swordsmanship genius. Even though Roman won, he was still surprised, as he didn't know about the power that Chris used. Romero was so happy that his son is a swordsmanship genius and asked Roman to come closer. Romero then asked Roman if there is any reward he wants for himself. Roman said that he have to leave for a battlefield in half a year, so he wants the right to select the men who will join him. Romero granted his request and said that he will support him in anything he wants. The next day, Chris was surprised, as Jonathan wants him to teach aura to Roman. Chris refused at first, as even though he used aura in the fight, Roman still defeated him. Jonathan said that if he accepts this request, then he will share all his secret to become a 3-star aura knight with him. The next day, Chris met with Roman to train him. He first told him about aura. It is a subset of mana usage, particularly the form which knights use it in. If magicians use mana by storing it in their circles, knights store mana throughout their body. The person known as the forerunner of aura was a man named Emperor Alexandro. He was the first to figure out that, unlike magicians, spreading the mana throughout the body can strengthen it. An aura is the power of instantaneously releasing this mana that spread throughout the body. However, knowing the history of mana isn't that important, as only a select few can even use mana. 1 in 1,000 can walk the path of an aura knight, and 1 in 10,000 can walk the path of a magician. Chris said that in his case, although it took around half a year to sense mana, but even being able to sense mana within a year is above average. Roman then told him to start with trying to sense mana. Actually, Roman have already sensed this world's mana, and was able to store mana in his Danaton, thanks to the heavenly demon god art. However, he thought that instead of blindly following his common sense, he need to learn how this world people proceed with things first. Chris told him to focus on the rhythm of his breathing and concentrate. Once he get used to utilizing mana, that's when he will be able to manifest aura. And once he succeed in manifesting aura, it signifies that he has become a 1-star aura knight. Chris looked at Roman, and was shocked to see that he is already manifesting aura. Roman thought that he was right, the way the people in this world utilize Kai is garbage. In Murim, cultivating Kai removes wastes in the meridians, as well as ultimately accumulates Kai within the Danton. However, this world is different. They just hope the mana will naturally accumulate within their bodies, and have no way to contain it whatsoever. He concluded that if the Kai in Murim is barren yet thick, the mana of this world is abundant yet light, so it escapes the body as much as it enters. And with something like this, he won't be able to reach the top even after 100 years. Chris shockingly asked, how did he manage to do that, as it took him years just to release aura? Chris said with teary eyes that Roman already knew how to use the aura. That's why he won the fight in the first place. Roman laughed and asked Chris while he was training, did he ever question his training methods? Chris froze after hearing that, and asked what exactly is he trying to say. Roman said that people usually thought that a method passed down through generations is always correct. And while he was learning aura from Chris, he had this thought. Why people were so fixated on this method when there was a clear flaw with it? Was it because they didn't know, or was it because his faith in Captain Jonathan was too strong? Roman said that the answer is simple, because it's easier to just follow. Because if you follow the method created through trial and error, there's no way you would be criticized. Roman said that he won't deny his 10 years of efforts, he just finds it funny that Chris never questioned the method this entire time. It is just like what he did in his previous life. he dismissed his father's teachings and perfected his own heavenly demon god art. Roman then told Chris that this training is over and said goodbye. But he is stopped by Chris. Chris asked Roman what should he do from here on out. Roman thought that Chris threw his pride away, so it should be interesting from here. Roman then remembered the blood demon, the man who unified the past blood demon cult and became its leader. As one of the martial masters who dominated the Murim, battling Baek Jung-hyuk for control was inevitable. And at the end of the long battle, he had lost. And just like the blood demon, Chris also swallowed his pride and asked for Roman's teachings. Roman then said to Chris that if he wants him to teach him a way to get stronger, then he won't help him. But if he wants to search for an answer with his own hands, then he can stay by his side from now on. Roman said that in 6 months, he's leaving for the battlefield, so take a good look at how he gets stronger as he faced countless foes. And if Chris can stay by his side even after 10 years, then he will find his answer. The next day, Chris told Jonathan that he will follow young master to the battlefield. Jonathan looked into Chris' eyes and realized he have a good reason for this. He then dismissed Chris from the Dimitri Knights and asked him to follow him. Jonathan said that if he wants to survive on the battlefield, then he will need a secret weapon, so he will train him for that. Meanwhile, in the city, a boy heard that Roman took care of the Blood Fang. The boy was Kevin, who was shocked to know that Roman defeated the Blood Fang. He remembered that earlier Roman easily took care of the other members, so he really can take care of Blood Fang by himself. He thought that the young master Roman did this to keep his words from before. But he shook his head, as there's no way the young master will do this for someone like him. Kevin was thinking that he wants to become stronger too, so he can protect his family. Suddenly, he heard a voice calling for him. He lifted his head up, and was shocked to see young master Roman in front of him. Kevin quickly bowed in front of Roman, and thanked him for everything. Roman then asked him to listen to his proposal. Roman said that his family will no longer face any problems. Not only will they earn a delicious food, they will be able to enjoy some hobbies as well. He said that he will make this happen, and asked Kevin to pledge his loyalty to him. Without wasting a second, Kevin hit his head on the ground, and pledged his loyalty to Roman. Kevin promised that if Roman will tell him to die, he will die at his command, and if he will ask him to kill someone, then he will do it for him. Kevin looked up and said that Roman's promise to take care of his family is more than enough for him. Kevin's way of showing loyalty with his blood reminded Roman of the Mad Demon. The Mad Demon, who would hang between life and death while facing hundreds of opponents of the White faction, without taking a single step back, just from a single command of Baek. Roman smiled and said, "Then from this point onwards, you are mine." After reaching home, Roman told Hans to take care of Kevin. Roman then told Hans that he's going in the estate library, so if something happens, then he can find him there. In the library, Roman read about the Aura Knights. In order to become an 1-star Aura Knight, you must first manifest Aura. And in order to become a 2-star Aura Knight, you must be able to cut steel using Aura. And once you become a 3-star Aura Knight, you are beyond normal comprehension, and will receive special treatment. A 6-star Knight exists in Salamander Continent, but there are currently no stories of people who have reached the 7 stars. Even within the top 10 Knights, not everybody has reached the 6-star rank. According to Roman, even Jonathan, who was at 3-star, is a second-class fighter. And the fact that someone has reached the 6-star rank means they have gone beyond human capabilities. The aura, released through their sword, reaches several dozen meters, and its impact is of course otherworldly. There are currently 12 people in the continent, known as 6-star Knights. These people are treated like VIPs in every country, regardless of their nationality. They are called the continent's 12 swords. And then there are the magicians. The magicians, who have reached the 7 circle, are called archmages. They are beings considered as half man, half god, or walking disasters. A single spell levels the earth and splits the sky. And when dealt with in numbers, they are more dangerous than 6-star Aura Knights. Roman knows that if he wants to proceed further, then he needs to be strong. So he decided to start his training for real. After a while, Roman and Hans went to a workshop used by Baron in the past. Hans said that the Baron made sure that outsiders were strictly prohibited, and it's completely restricted from outside. Roman entered the workshop and said that this is a perfect location for training. He then told Hans to not allow even a single person to enter this workshop for a week. After Hans left, Roman started his training. Roman thought that in order to use arts with the heavenly demon god arts as the base, he must start the first stage. He took a deep breath and started the first stage. He circulated the mana to remove all impure Kai within the body. The blood was coming out of every part of his body, but he didn't stop, as he must regain his past strength as soon as possible. He thought, now that he have made new relationships, he need the power to protect them. 1 week later, Viscount Lawrence and Flora have came to meet the Dimitris. Lawrence asked about Roman, and the butler told him that the master is currently taking care of some business. He then told them to wait and left. Lawrence realized that the Dimitris don't want them here, but he still decided to wait. He then told Flora that he has prepared this meeting so she can revert her mistake. Flora was regretting her decision to break the engagement because of her selfishness. Her territory is in danger. Meanwhile, Hans was outside the workshop, thinking about whether he should go inside or not. Suddenly, the gate of the workshop opened and Roman came out. And after seeing Roman, Hans got surprised. Meanwhile, Lawrence and Flora were still waiting. Lawrence knew that this all stemmed from Flora's mistake, but even so, the treatment he is getting is wrong. He stood up in anger and said that he will find Baron Dimitri himself. He opened the office door in anger and shouted, how can he let his guests wait for this long? He said that he never expected that the Dimitris are this petty. Romero looked at him calmly and said that today's meeting was not scheduled beforehand. Lawrence said that they already shared their intentions to meet with Roman a week ago, but he declined their request. Romero then asked if this is all he wanted to say. He added that on the day when Flora Lawrence visited Dimitri, Roman broke the engagement. And though he scolded Roman, but even a 3-year-old could tell that Flora Lawrence had something to do with the disengagement decision. Even though he knew this, he did not reprimand the Lawrences and let the matter go like a moron. Romero hit the table in anger and said that even after all this, you are reprimanding for the mere reason of having to wait for so long. He then informed them that a month ago, he received a marriage proposal from the Barco family instead of Lawrence's, but he still declined the offer. Viscount Lawrence asked why did he decline the offer as it was beneficial for Dimitris. Romero replied that the reason is simple, that Dimitri already has power. The eldest son of the Dimitris adores the Lady of Lawrence, so just for that reason, Dimitris was ready to war against the Barcos. Lawrence then realized that because of his pride, he made a huge blunder. Romero said he knows that the flower of Lawrence and the moron of Dimitri's reputation don't fit with each other. But Roman's value changes the moment the Dimitri family name is attached to him. And the ones desperate for this political marriage were Lawrence's. Viscount Lawrence then lowered his head and apologized for his daughter's immaturity. Suddenly, the gate opened, and they heard a voice that Master Roman has arrived. And as soon as Flora looked at Roman, she realized that it's too late. Roman, who is completely changed, entered and greeted his father. Romero shockingly asked if he is done with his training. Romero said that they can talk about it later, as now they need to give a response to the Lawrences. Roman said that he understand what the union of their families signifies. He knew that the wealth of Dimitri would ensure the safety of Lawrence, and at the time, he believed there was enough value in doing so. But on the first day he met Flora, he changed his mind after talking to her. He said that Flora must have heard the rumors of the moron of Dimitri, so she cancelled the marriage. But no matter how society judges Roman Dimitri, he wants someone who believes things that they saw directly. Therefore, Roman decided for the disengagement to proceed without any changes. Viscount Florence thought that if he knew about Roman's worth, he would have been more careful when telling Flora to not make any sudden decision. He realized that he too have made a huge mistake, and left quietly. After they both left, Romero asked Roman what exactly happened over the past week. Roman explained that during the week of isolation, he removed impure Kai in his body to enter the human stage. The human stage is the process of building the foundation to display the heavenly demon god art. And given this world's abundant amount of mana and the impurities accumulated in Roman's body, creating even the foundation resulted in a miraculous effect. Roman thought that he can't explain all the things that happened, so he said that he reached a small enlightenment on his own. Romero was shocked as Roman did the mana circulation. It is a phenomenon that creates the ideal body due to nature's mana circulating throughout the body. Romero knew that this is something that happens only to a handful of people. He couldn't believe that Roman, who used to be the moron of Dimitri, is accomplishing unimaginable feats on his own. Romero then told Roman to do what he wants, and as his father, he will always support him from behind. To this, Roman only smiled and said thank you to his father. And when he went outside, he saw Lady Flora waiting for him. She apologized to Roman for judging him too quickly and causing issues in both families. She said that she had a special reason for why she decided to break off the engagement. In the social gathering hosted by the northeastern nobles, something happened there. Once people get to know that she is going to marry a Dmitri, the nobles started telling her terrifying rumors. That Roman Dmitri enjoys drugs that eat away your reason and intelligence. She now knows that the rumors were false, but she thinks that Roman should know this. Roman replied that now it doesn't change their relationship, and left. Inside the room, Roman couldn't sense any drugs poisoning his body. He then asked Hans if he ever saw him enjoying drugs. Hans said that he has never seen him taking drugs, but a month ago, when Roman returned from a social party, he seemed to be in an odd state. Soon after, he seemed like he lost his will to live, as he just asked for an excessive amount of alcohol every night. And when Roman got to know that this party was hosted by the eldest son of Barcos, Anthony Barco, he realized that Anthony was the reason why Roman decided to take his own life. But still there were a few things that bothered Beek about Roman's death. In the will that Roman left, it only said that he'd be going to the battle instead of his younger siblings, and that he was too scared. Nothing else was written there. However, it was already decided that he'd be marrying Flora, who he always desired. And there were plenty of ways for him to avoid military service. But despite all this, he killed himself just because he was afraid of the battlefield. He then asked Hans if he and Anthony Barco were close. Hans replied that there wasn't anyone else that spent as much time with Roman as he did. However, it did seem like he was on bad terms with Roman recently. Roman understands that the political marriage between Lawrence and Dmitri was a massive obstacle for the Barcos, who wanted the land of Lawrence. And the easiest way to solve that problem was to stop the marriage before that happened. Hans then informed Roman that a few days ago, a party invitation arrived from the Barco family. Roman smiled and decided to go, as the Barcos are getting on his nerves. He then told Hans to inform the Barcos that he will be attending the party, which is in 2 weeks. The next day, Hans told Kevin that Master Roman is waiting for him, and told him to not be surprised by his change. Kevin entered the room and gets shocked to see Roman's new look. Kevin then asked Roman what should he do to be of use to Master Roman. Roman said that he intends to use Kevin as his sword, but one's use isn't determined by someone else's will, so Roman said that he will give him 3 choices. First is to give up his use as a sword if he is scared of bloodshed. The second is to become his sword and protect him by his side. Kevin said that he never touched a sword before in his entire life. Roman knows this, and replied that's why if he chooses the second option, he will test his will through skeletal contortion. It is a method of causing pain as if your bones and muscles are being warped. And the third option is to take this sword and cut off his hand. Roman said that if Kevin is able to endure it until the end, then he will become stronger faster than anyone else. Roman remembered that even the mad demon, who didn't even know martial arts, was able to become one of the 4 heavenly kings with only his will. Roman then asked Kevin about his choice out of the 3 options. Kevin then remembered his life. He was born in a wrecked shack outside the Dmitri castle. Since little, he had to work in order to survive. But later he realized that the strong always take from the weak. That's why he couldn't forget what he saw, that overwhelming strength. Kevin then picked up the sword and said that he will cut his arm. He then attacked his arm with his own hand. Meanwhile, Chris was thinking that he left the night order to follow Master Roman, but he decides to go into isolation for a week. He then reached outside Roman's room, where Hans told him that Master Roman is with a boy named Kevin. Inside the room, Kevin has cut his arm and gets unconscious. After a while, Hans asked Roman if he is fine, as there's blood all over the blade. But Roman smiled and said that there's nothing to worry about, as it's not his blood. In reality, when Kevin was about to cut his hand off, Roman put him in an illusion. Charm of the illusion demon. And while he was trying to test Kevin in an illusion, for a short period of time, Kevin swung down his wrist before he fell into the illusion. Roman smiled, as if the spell was even a little bit weaker, then Kevin might have even cut off his entire hand. Now there's 2 weeks until the party, and 6 months until the war, so Roman's smile deepened, as there's a lot to teach them. The next day, Kevin was shocked to know that Roman is about to teach him a mana cultivation technique. Though Roman said that it's a mana cultivation technique, But in reality, it's a martial art that the mad demon used. It's called the demonic spirit art. It's an art that causes demonic energy to eat away the user's mind, while allowing them to display power under extreme pain. And even under that extreme pain, they must not lose their mind. The mad demon, to become a sword that was of use to Roman, learned this martial art under extreme pain. Roman thought that if Kevin has the will to cut off his hand, then he's capable of learning it. Roman said that there is one reason why he is teaching him this technique. It can be learned by someone who doesn't know the basics of mana, and with this, Kevin can gain the strength to protect everyone. Kevin said that he is very grateful to Roman for everything and asked, why is Roman trusting him? Roman just smiled and said they will start the training tomorrow. And while he was leaving, Roman said to Kevin that he will never betray him, because once he gets stronger, he will realize just how dangerous it is to betray the heavenly demon. The next day, Roman was training Kevin with the sword, while Chris was sitting in a corner. Chris was confused why Roman is teaching swordsmanship to a kid instead of him. He thought that he would get stronger if he just followed Roman, but Roman is not even looking at him. But still, he decided to wait for Roman to look at him. And just like that, 3 days passed, and he angrily went close to Roman. Chris said to Roman that it's already been over 2 weeks since he decided to follow him, but Roman didn't teach him anything. Roman replied that he already told him that he need to learn by observing. Roman said that everyone has their own way of learning. Since Kevin knows nothing, so Roman needs to guide him from the beginning. But as Roman already defeated Chris, so he will just blindly follow his teaching without understanding it. Roman then gave a wooden sword to Chris and told him to battle Kevin. Roman said that Kevin will be his proxy and he will advise Kevin in defeating him. And if Chris still thinks that he is correct after the duel, then Roman will teach him personally. And as soon as the match began, Chris dashed toward Kevin and threw him away with a single strike. Chris tried to scare Kevin by saying that his next attack will split Kevin's head open, but to his threat, Kevin laughed and told him to attack. Suddenly, Kevin heard a voice telling him to guard his front with the sword, as Chris will attempt a surprise attack. Chris attacked Kevin, but Kevin was able to block the attack. The voice then told him to take one step to the side and aim for Chris' chest. Kevin tried to take the step, but his body was not trained enough to follow the commands, so he get kicked by Chris. Kevin realized that the voice he is hearing is of Master Roman. Roman said that this is a method used to deliver sound through mana, and he will give him instructions with this. Roman then tell him to throw his body to the right. He did the same and managed to dodge Chris' attack. He then turns around and aimed for Chris' left chest. But Chris dodged the attack and kicked him again. Chris was confused as Kevin is holding better than he expected. Even with the commands, Kevin was losing, but a smile appeared on his face. Kevin thought that even though Chris is a 2-star knight, he's moving exactly as Master Roman says. Young Master Roman is controlling him like a puppet and is just toying with him. Chris was confused as Kevin was narrowly avoiding critical moments and even counterattacking. Kevin now understands Roman's true power and was happy to serve Roman. He concluded that if someone like him wants to become his sword, then the only answer is his willpower. Angered by Kevin, Chris dashed toward him with full power. But to Chris' surprise, Kevin steps forward and attacked Chris with all might. But Chris dodged the attack, just like Roman did in his fight, and defeated Kevin. Roman then said to Chris now that he won the fight, so he will teach him from tomorrow. After a while, Chris was inside his room, thinking why did he decide to fight. The last maneuver, it was similar to when he dueled Roman for the first time. He thought that if he didn't have that experience with Roman, then he couldn't have defeated Kevin. He smiled and thinks that he has grown from just that one experience. The next day, Chris tells Roman that he doesn't want any teachings. He will look for a way to get stronger by following Roman. And just like that, 1 week passed and the day of the social party came. A week before the social party, everyone gets to know that Roman Dimitri's marriage with the Lawrence family was broken. But everyone thinks that the Lawrences broke the engagement after taking a look at Roman. And if they broke the engagement when the war with Barco is so near, that means the eldest son of Dimitri is worse than the rumors. Meanwhile, Anthony Barco was happy that his plan is going smoothly. At present, Roman was confused whether he should really wear this dress or not. Hans said that this is his first official gathering since disengagement, so he will not let him wear just anything. And in front of Hans' emotional face, Roman accepted his request. Outside, Chris is wondering why Kevin is late. Suddenly, Kevin came running to him and was wearing loose armor. He explained to Chris that even in the smithy, there wasn't any armor that fit him. Chris then explained Kevin that they are both their liege's escorts as well as the face of Dimitri, so their reputation lies in their action. To which Kevin replied that he will keep that in mind. Meanwhile, inside the Barco's residence, everyone was talking about Roman Dimitri. They all thought that even though the Dimitri's family is the powerhouse of the Northeast, their position has gotten quite ambiguous because of Roman. While everyone was making fun of Roman, the butler announced that the eldest son of Dimitri has arrived. And as soon as Roman entered the hall, everyone gets shocked to see him. A beautiful girl went close to Roman and introduced herself as Sophia of the Grisel family. Roman greeted her with a smile and even talked about her family's history. Actually, before coming to this party, Roman has memorized about the Northeast families and their legacies. And now, Roman is using that knowledge to change his reputation among the families. Suddenly, the butler came close to Roman and informed him that the young master has invited him into the back room. Meanwhile, outside the venue, the place was brimming with the other family's night escorts. Chris told Kevin to stand straight and remove his helmet, as it is too big for him. Barco family's knights noticed this and laughed at him. They insulted Kevin as he can't even hold a sword properly. They also insulted Roman, which angered Kevin. Roman went inside the room and see Anthony Barco waiting for him. Roman noticed the traces of people and concluded that if Anthony made them leave, then he has some secret to tell him. And to know that secret, Roman tried to be friendly with Anthony. Anthony then asked Roman what he was thinking when he pushed into a political marriage with Flora Lawrence with their friendship on the line, and were caught sleeping with his cousin in the back room. Anthony said now that Roman cancelled the marriage with Flora, so that means Roman accepted his proposal. Anthony smiled and said, let's discuss his marriage with the Barco family. And as soon as Roman heard Anthony's words, the memory of that scene returned to him. When Roman came to meet Anthony last time, he was with his cousin Emily Barco. At that time, Anthony told Roman that the Barcos are not interested in Lawrence's anymore, and made Roman drinks a lot. And the next day, when Roman woke up, he found himself sleeping with Anthony's cousin. Anthony entered the room in anger and put the blame for everything on Roman. He said now that Roman laid hands on a lady of Barco, so now he has to marry someone from the Barco family to restore their relationship. And if Roman agreed to this, then he will quell his rage and forgive him. So now, everything is clear to Beak. Roman didn't have the confidence to face his father's rage, and he couldn't defame Flora, whom he truly loved, so he chose to end his life. But the man in front of Anthony is not that weak-willed Roman, but the heavenly demon Beak Jung-hyuk. He tells Anthony that just for this reason, he will not accept this political marriage. But Anthony angrily told him that this is not a choice, because if Roman refuses, then he will expose him. But Roman replied that he told him several times that the Dimitri family has no need to accept the Barco family proposal for such a pathetic reason. Anthony tried to threaten Roman again, but Roman said that he doesn't care as he's already called a moron, so nothing will change from one or two more rumors. He then told Anthony to conduct himself properly. Roman said that he broke the marriage of his own accord, not because of his threat. But since the Dimitri has turned their back on Lawrence's, then Barco's wish has been more or less fulfilled. He then threatened Anthony that if he does not behave, then he will help the Lawrence family to interfere with the Barco family, just to relieve his personal grudge against him. Roman said that he already knows that the Barco family's power comes only from the central government. But if they consider the wealth and power, the true powerhouse of the Northeast is not Barco but Dimitri. Unable to do anything, Anthony quickly apologized and asked Roman to wrap up this matter. And after Roman left, Anthony realized that Roman has changed in not only his face, but also in his actions, gaze and the way he speaks. He realized that Roman is no longer the moron he used to know, but a completely different person. Meanwhile, as Roman was leaving, he heard Kevin's voice. He then noticed Kevin, who was on the ground, while the other knights were laughing at him. When Roman was inside, the knights insulted him, so Kevin asked the knight to take back what he said. One knight called Roman a moron, so Kevin tried to punch him, but get beaten instead. Though Chris could easily defeat the knights, he stopped, as the man was a knight of Barco. Chris thought that if he caused a mess here, then this will be a problem for the entire Dimitri family. At present, Kevin looked at the knight and insulted him by calling him a thug. This angered the knight as he dashed toward Kevin and was about to attack him. But suddenly, someone grabbed his hand. That someone was none other than Roman Dmitri himself. He looked at the knight and slapped him. The knight was confused as he couldn't even react to Roman's slap. Roman called him a moron and slapped him again. Before the knight could even react, Roman continuously slapped him and threw him on the ground. Meanwhile, Anthony was in his room, thinking just what happened to Roman. But suddenly, his butler came and informed him that Roman is beating his knight. Outside, the knight was begging in front of Roman and promised to never do it again. Kevin and Chris suggest Roman to stop, or it will ruin his relationship with the Barco family. Suddenly, everyone heard Anthony's voice, asking what is the meaning of this. Anthony angrily told Roman to apologize for beating his knight. But Roman looked at Anthony and asked, why should he apologize? He looked at the knight and said that this man slandered him and laid hands on a person of Dmitri. But Anthony said that even though what the knight did is wrong, but Roman still crossed the line. But Roman replied that Anthony need to keep his action in check or else his personal grudge can destroy theirs as well as their family's relationship. He went close to Anthony and asked him to decide what he wants to do. Anthony knows that if he even said a word, then Roman will help the Lawrence family in the upcoming war. So Anthony smiled and said that even he would have given the same punishment to the knight. Roman then went close to the knight and knocked him down with a slap. The previous Roman was a moron who was disrespected, even as part of the Dmitri family. But everyone who was present there had no choice but to acknowledge one fact, that the moron they knew no longer existed. Inside the carriage, Kevin apologized to Roman, as because of him, Roman were insulted. Chris also apologized, as he did nothing, while Dmitri's name was disgraced and Kevin was being beaten. Roman said that as rashness brings chaos, so Chris' decision prevented the worst-case scenario. However, this is not the answer that Roman wanted. He said that there is no one in the entire Northeast that can dare to lay their hands on the Dmitri family, and anyone who follows him means they will live a life of standing above all. After returning to his palace, Roman was reading about the Barcos, a family that settled in the Northeast for a little over a century. The time when they started to rise as a powerhouse in the region was around the time when someone from the Barco family entered the central government. But even though the family has such high status, their military strength doesn't seem to be strong. The Salamander continent consists of 2 empires and 6 kingdoms. Among them, the kingdom of Cairo is small and weak because it shared borders with all the other kingdoms. And because powerful enemies lurked outside their borders, they had no choice but to join forces with the central government. And due to this, the central government also naturally gains strength, as their authority over conscription is especially absolute. If a noble reject conscription, they are deemed as insurgents and soldiers are dispatched immediately. And after subjugating the insurgents and confiscating the land as the kingdom's possession, the neighboring lords who assisted with the subjugation are rewarded a portion of the land. This system of influence is what gave Barcos intangible strength through their connection. And that is how they were able to take a large loan from the gold bank. And the money they acquired was used for the Burj Mercenary Company. This company is composed of around 100 mercenaries, with the high-rank mercenary Burj at its core. Roman then said, considering the Barco has been conscripting their people recently, they are expected to attack Lawrence within half a month. Roman thought. He told Anthony Barco that he wouldn't interfere with matters regarding Lawrence. But for Roman Dmitri to keep living on, he cannot leave the Barcos as they have threatened him. Still, no matter how much Barco increases their forces, they are no match for Dmitri. He concluded that if he borrow the family's strength, it would be a simple task, but that would be meaningless. Separate from the fact that the Dmitris are of common origin, the nobles of the Northeast do not consider Roman Dmitri as a threat. So Beek decides that what he needs right now is an opportunity to rise to a greater stage like last time. Roman then ordered Hans to inform his father that he wants to meet him. After some days, we see a B-rank mercenary named Lucas saying that Dmitri hasn't changed a single bit. He then went inside a smithy's shop and asked the blacksmith to repair his armor. And as he went outside the shop, he noticed a number of people gathered near the notice board. He got curious and decided to check the matter. He went close to the notice board and saw a recruitment notice. The details were as follows: recruiting private soldiers who must be healthy and desire to become stronger. The number of recruits is 30 and the wage is 8 silver per month. Lucas thought that the living for a 4-person family is about 5 silvers on average, so the offer is not that bad. But if it wasn't for this condition, it has a special condition that the soldiers will only belong to Roman Dmitri, not the Dmitri family, and apply only if you are willing to lay down your life for Roman Dmitri. A man then tells Lucas to not even think about applying, as hundreds would have already applied. Lucas smiled and said he won't, as he's a B-rank mercenary, so he needs at least 50 silvers a month to even consider pledging his loyalty to a noble. But suddenly, a thought crossed his mind. He asked the man why the hundreds of people have applied. Is this really something of that much worth? He added that however good the conditions are, is it not Roman, the moron of the Dmitri? But the man tell him that Lord Roman is no longer the moron that he was before, as he not only just destroyed Bloodfang, he treats people with true care. The man added that even they didn't believe it at first, but after hearing Clark's words, his thoughts changed. The man explained that when Clark's son Kevin was selected by Master Roman, their family lifestyle changed. Master Roman gave them a new house, good meals, and even some land. And according to Clark, Master Roman slapped the hell out of a knight of Barco just to protect Kevin. Everyone in the village just talks about Kevin and how they wanted to be like him. Roman Dmitri treats his people with care. If you can gain his trust, you can live a completely different life from before. And that's why so many people are applying for this private soldier recruitment. Lucas couldn't believe that Roman Dmitri defeated the Bloodfang and caused that incident at the social party, because the Roman Dmitri that he knows from the past would never do such a thing. Lucas thought, what in the world happened to Roman in these 2 years? Lucas finds it interesting and decides to confirm it for himself. The same night, Captain Jonathan was trying to convince Romero to take his word back, as developing private soldiers purely for an individual is too dangerous. But Romero replied that when he heard that Roman would be participating in Barco's social party, he thought that Roman would collaborate with the Barco to drive out his brother from the line of succession. But in front of all those nobles, Roman slapped a knight of Barco, even when Anthony could possibly join hands with Roman's brother to deal fatal damage to his right of succession. Romero added that Roman, who was judged to be a moron for over a decade, has started to live his own life. So as a father, he merely wishes to cheer him on. He then asked Jonathan how many people have applied, as considering Roman's reputation, above 50 would be a relief. But to Romero's surprise, above 500 people have already applied. The next day, Chris informed Roman that the preparation for the trial has completed. The day before the trial, Lucas was enjoying his night at a pub. But he couldn't believe his eyes, as so many people have gathered for the trial. He looked at a group of 3 people and concluded that they are the C-rank mercenaries. He then looked at the other 3 who were drinking at the bar table and figured that those people clearly have battle experience. He realized that the level of the applicants is much higher than he expected. He then heard a man asking his friend, why is he there, because he said that he was going to become a soldier of the Lawrence family. The man replied that even though Lawrence is his hometown, but after seeing Roman Dmitri destroy the Bloodfang, he changed his mind. The man said that he was at the plaza that day when Roman Dmitri, covered in blood, was dragging the leader of the Bloodfang by hair. He couldn't believe that a young noble, to punish the Bloodfang that laid hand on his people, traveled to another territory to smash the head of the leader open. He said that he can't get that scene out of his head. The man then shouted that Roman Dmitri is not a weakling as the rumors said. He is a true leader who can fight for his people. Back at present, Lucas and the other participants were waiting for Roman Dmitri. Lucas was thinking, if everything that he heard is true, then what choice should he make? He concluded the moment of choice will be when he sees the true Roman himself. Suddenly, it became quiet, and all of the participants, including Lucas, unconsciously bowed their heads and made way for Roman Dmitri. And with just one look, Lucas knows what he heard about Roman is true. Roman then tells everyone to raise their heads and that he will select 30 soldiers who will fight for him from today. But before starting the process, he announced that he has no plans to live his days cooped up in a remote territory. He will constantly be in the battle for a higher position, and a battle with their life on the line cannot be avoided. So he added that anyone who is planning on following him with firm resolve can turn back now. And what should they think about as their head flies off on the battlefield is not resentment toward him, who sent them there, but only regret that they weren't able to witness him standing tall as the most powerful on the continent. Lucas was surprised by Roman's arrogance, as forgot the most powerful on the continent. He's someone whose position in his own family is at stake. But for some reason, Lucas thought that Roman could actually pull it off. Chris then came forward and gave instructions for the first trial. He explained that an applicant will stand at the designated location and an archer will fire 3 arrows at him. The arrow may just barely gaze the applicant, be lodged in the plate behind him, or even strike him directly and deal a fatal injury. Chris said that only those who do not move an inch while the 3 arrows are fired will pass the test. Then the first applicant moves to the designated spot. All the applicants thought that the archer is extremely skilled and would never make a mistake. The archer then shot the first arrow, and it didn't hit the applicant. And as the other applicants believed that nothing would happen to them, the next arrow pierced through the applicant's thigh. The man shouted in pain and was taken out by a stretcher. This scared the other applicants as the archer seriously hit the man. They thought that the arrow went through the applicant's thigh, and if it was his head, then he'd have died instantly. Chris then tells the applicants to leave if they are scared of this drill. The day before the trial, Roman tells his men that in tomorrow's first trial, they will be struck by an arrow. The archer is an expert who will only strike areas that won't result in fatal injury. And as for rewards, he gave them a box full of gold coins. And so, the men quickly accepted his offer. After they left, Chris asked Roman, why is he going so far? Roman explained that he can't find the people that he's looking for with threats alone. Even if the chance of being struck by an arrow is 101, most of the applicants will be struck by fear from that 1% chance. He said that what he wants is someone with a strong mentality, the ones born with the heart of a beast. He said that only those who were born with the heart of a beast will become stronger, and only those of that caliber can walk alongside him. And just like Roman predicted, around 100 people left the trial in order to save their life. According to Roman, the heart of a beast is an innate talent. Just like Kevin, who swung down on his wrist on his order without hesitation. Or Chris, who asked for a way to become stronger from the one who gave him a humiliating defeat. Those who do not possess the heart of a beast, no matter how strong they are, they cannot emerge victorious against those who are built different from birth. Roman then ordered Chris to resume the trial. The next turn was of the guy named Henderson, who was praising Roman at the inn. Even though he was shaking, Henderson didn't move and managed to pass the test. And with that, the first trial proceeded without a hitch. And out of 500 applicants, only 120 managed to pass the first trial. Roman came forward and said there were some who passed while trembling, as well as those who passed without a care. But the two do not differ much from his standards, as they both possess the courage to suppress their fears. He then added that the first trial proved their worth as a warrior, but in the end, he will only accept 30 people. Therefore, if they pass the second test, they will become his subordinate, and will be able to live the life of a predator. The rules of the second trial were simple. The applicants need to choose a wooden sword and prove their strength through dueling with Roman. Roman said that anyone who can last even 1 minute against him will pass the test. The first to challenge Roman was a man named Vulcan. As soon as the battle begins, Vulcan dashed toward Roman and struck with full power, but Roman easily dodged the attack and defeated him. With just one look, Lucas understands that Roman is in a different league, and this trial will be incomparably more difficult than the first. The moment Vulcan lost to Roman, not just Lucas, but everyone thought one thing, that Roman is strong. However, as the duels repeated and time passed, they expected that it'd be easier to face him as his stamina ran out. But an hour passed since the second trial began, 60 duels and 60 losses. Roman showed absolutely no signs of fatigue. Henderson remembered Roman's words from before, and realized Roman is a predator who can live however he likes in this world of the fittest. Everyone thought that this is one-in-a-lifetime chance to become Roman's subordinate. But there was just one problem, the monster Roman Dmitri himself. Then the next to challenge Roman was Lucas. Lucas understands that Roman Dmitri is a monster, and as he wants to see Roman dominating the entire continent, so he decided to give his all and pass the test. Lucas dashed toward Roman and used his sword and a dagger to attack Roman. As Lucas was a B-rank mercenary, he was using his experience in his duel, but none of his tricks were working in front of Roman. Roman smiled, as this guy named Lucas is not bad. However, Roman doesn't plan on letting him hold for 1 minute. 1 minute that is a wall to show them just how amazing their liege is, who they'll be following. And as Roman was about to defeat Lucas remembered his past. A normal person can become B-ranked mercenary if they work hard with their lives on the line. But as long as they can't use mana, they could never be permitted entry into a higher rank realm. And as Lucas didn't know about mana, he reached his limit. No matter how hard he struggled, he couldn't raise his rank from B. But in the battlefields, where countless people perished, he survived. He learned one thing, that to survive, and to win, you must use any means necessary. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe and press the bell icon so you don't miss the updates.